Hello, I'm Christy Johns from Australian Online News. Well, 1 in 70 people have autism, and many people know a family or friend who has an autistic child, and it can be difficult to know what to buy them for Christmas. Here to help is Kathrine Peereboom, founder of Spectrum Support. Hi, Kathrine. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me on the show. I really appreciate it.
So you're the mother of 3 autistic boys. Can you tell us a bit about your journey with them thus far and the signs that developed?
Yeah, absolutely. So, yes, my 3 boys are autistic. They are all nonverbal, so they don't use words to communicate at all. And they've got a range of comorbidities as well. My older 2 also have intellectual disabilities. So, they are gorgeous little kids. They are cheeky. You'll find them jumping off, the furniture just like any other little boy. But the journey to finding out about who they were definitely presented some serious challenges for us as parents, and a lot of heartbreak because we didn't understand what was happening. My eldest, Oliver, his development was very much on track. He was pointing at objects. He said, "Mum, Dad." He stood and crawled and walked and did all of those developmental milestones, just like any of his neurotypical peers. And then from about 12 to 18 months of age, we started to see the regression. And by this time, at 11 months old, I had already had Joshua. So they're only 11 months apart. So it was, you just want the best for your children. So we did lots of research. We spoke to lots of doctors. And then when we understood that it was autism, and the way that it was presented to us, it just was devastating. And we were devastated for the life that we thought that our children would have, going to school and having friends and having a sleepover and having a girlfriend or a boyfriend, or all those life milestones that you want for your kids. And I mean, it never changed. The diagnoses never changed who they were. It just changed the way that we needed as parents to give them the life skills that they need to be successful in this world. So I've learned a lot over the past few years. But, they're gorgeous kids, and I'm very lucky to have them.
Yeah. So how old are they now? And when you say regression, what were the signs? You say they looked like they were developing well. At what moment did you know that something wasn't quite right?
Well, with Oliver, so around that 12 to 18 month mark, the words stopped. Mum, Dad stopped. He stopped giving us eye contact. He stopped pointing at objects. His food choices, which were really diverse in the beginning, became more and more limited and restricted. He would find certain noises just terrifying. So we'd be in the middle of a Westfield shopping centre and he would hear a young baby cry and it would hurt his ears. So he would start to have these sensory overloads. And in the beginning, because they were so little, we just comforted them thinking, oh my goodness, something's triggered that. And we didn't realize that it went deeper. That the sensory overloads and the audio input was really piercing their ears and hurting their ears. So with Oliver, it was really, he was the one who led the path for us. And then we understood with the other children really what was happening much sooner. They're all very different kids though.
Yeah, so Christmas is coming up and you've listed 20 products that you think would help, would be good for autistic children. Firstly, just a general sense, what kind of toys should people be looking out for?
Look, there are a couple of things. One is cause and effect toys. So something that when you press a button, it's going to light up and give you lots of music. So you get that reaction. So a cause and effect toy really, really works. Another thing that really my kids love is those sensory toys. So big, you may see that behind me. It's called a cloud sack, but it's just this huge big ball. And when the kids jump into it, they're sort of of enveloped, and they love that sensory feeling. So things like that, hammocks, lycra, good old lycra, wrapping them in lycra. So there's a couple of different things, and then those good old fidget toys, things that you can spin, or fiddle with your hands. They would probably be the three main categories.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go through your top 20.
Okay. Well, my first pick is definitely the good old Bose noise cancelling headphones. They are a godsend, even though my children eat them. But if you're traveling, if you're going in the car, if you've got to go to a grocery store, and a sensory input really does impact your loved one, then these can be just absolutely wonderful. And while these are on the higher end of the price point, you can go to Bunnings and buy a $10 or a $20 version. Kmart has a great version too. But I typically like these because I can wirelessly connect to them and put the wiggles on and give them things that they'll enjoy as we're walking through whatever activity we need to do out in the public. So that's one of my favorites. One thing that has been a really big winner in our house at the moment is this Galaxy nightlight. And it looks like you've got galaxies all in your roof. And you can play. I play meditation music in there. So when my children are going to sleep, they're listening to some meditation music. They're watching the clouds go by and the stars flicker. And that has been a huge winner. You can get that from Amazon. You can also get that from the Home Party store, which is based in Brisbane. So try and buy local if you can, please. Support the Aussies. Another big thing that my children really adore is these chewy necklaces. You can get them in all cool shapes and sizes. So if your loved one is 18 or a little bit older and they're not wanting something that's so obvious, you can get them in really cool shapes that just look like a funky necklace. And then they just sit there and they chew away. And it will save lots of clothing. It will save lots of towels and sheets and furniture, especially if they have a diagnosis of pica, which is the consumption of inedible objects. So this is a really great tool for distraction as well. Another huge win, and you can get them in these smaller versions, are these little bubble liquid lamps, and the old school 80s lava lamps. I bought my son one. It's about 1 meter tall. It's got 7 different colors in it and fish in it. And he just sits there, honestly, and just watches the bubble sensation. And look, these are smaller items. You can buy them from thetherapystore.com.au. Again, a Melbourne-based business, really fantastic. And if you've got a bigger budget, things like the Cloud Sack, which start from about $500 or $600, through to the beaded frames. I don't know if you can see the beaded frames there, but a really great one is around $300. And then you can go trampolines. Trampolines are the best. They are emotional regulation, they are cognitive abilities and response, and they just for my boys, decompress them. So if they're getting too anxious and they need to blow off a little bit of steam, trampolines are absolutely wonderful. A couple of really great board games that we enjoy at the moment, and they're a wonderful fine motor skill. I have a lot of difficulty getting my children to sit at a table. They don't draw, they don't hold cutlery, so they can't feed themselves. So holding a pencil and even that imaginative play, they just don't have that ability at this stage. So doing tabletop activities has been a real struggle. So one thing that we found that really works is good old Connect 4. And they just sit there and they grab the little coins and they put them in the slots, and then when you pull the slide bar out, they all drop out and they think it's hysterical. And so that's been really wonderful. We started off with that lasting 10 or 15 seconds. Now it's an activity that they can do for about 5 to 7 minutes. So that's really great. One that they love too is the pop-up pirate. So if you haven't seen Pop-Up Pirate, it's this big old barrel and you've got 50 swords and the little guy sits in the top and you pop all the swords in until the pop-up pirate goes boop and pops out of it, and it's just so much fun. They absolutely adore that. So there are a couple of board games that work. Books are fantastic. My boys are still in between having a paper-based book versus a board book, which is the thick cardboard on every single page, because they will sit there and chew. So we've gone through lots of different books. But there's lots of educational books that are age appropriate. So we've got ones at the moment that are around toilet training. So we're still very much struggling to train our boys, and they are 7, 6, and 5. So there's really great books around that. The Wiggles have done a couple of toileting books as well. And then you've got age appropriate ones. So if your teenager is starting to question their sexual identity, or they're starting to go through puberty, there's boys books, there's girls books, and then there's, a range of books around relationships and social interaction. So if you are buying for an older child, there are lots of great books, and you can get them again from Dimmicks, from Booktopia. You can get them from therapy-based stores as well. And they just have lots of really, really wonderful information in there. And they put it in a way that's more visual, because a lot of autistic people will prefer visuals over reading lots of text.
Yeah.
Books are an absolutely wonderful thing, and the good old flashcards. So I've got lots of different flashcards for my boys. These are alphabet ones. There's numbers, there's shapes, there's colors, there's emotions. When you're trying to explain why somebody might be sad or why you've hurt their feelings. And then they go up again for the right age brackets. So there's ones that do maths at different levels, or science, or geography, or so flashcards at any age. I used to start at 3 months old with flashcards with my little guys. So flashcards, I can't recommend enough. I think that they are absolutely wonderful.
You've given us a plethora of ideas there for Christmas. You spoke before about how confronting it was finding your child had autism. What advice do you have for parents who are out there at the moment going through this? Where can they go for help?
There are so many wonderful resources out there at the moment. And for information on autism, you can go to Aspect, which is Autism Awareness Australia. Sorry, Autism Awareness Australia is one. You can go to Aspect, which is Autism Spectrum Australia. Sorry, getting my words wrong. And look, as a parent, if you are needing support as a parent, because there is lots of support out there and therapy for young children, but as parents and carers, we tend to get left behind a little bit. So reach out to your Facebook community. There are lots of wonderful groups. Thrive Tribe and Co. Brilliant. Autism Parents Australia, again, fantastic. So there's lots of really different wonderful groups out there that you can get at your fingertips. So make sure you do that.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for your advice, and have a wonderful Christmas.
You too. Thank you so much for your time. Merry Christmas, everybody.